Now, here's one of those guys that when I see them making a move or making even a comment about the markets, I do pay attention. I want to know what they have to say. This is one of those guys that makes relatively good decisions as far as investments go. I know I've mentioned him before. I've done some videos with specifically about what he has said. This man is named Carl Icahn, which is Icahn, but it's pronounced Icahn. I was reading this article, Zero Hedge today. Naturally, I visit Zero Hedge every day, along with Silver Doctors. With a historic negative 150% net short position, Carl Icahn is betting on an imminent market collapse. Over the past year, based on his increasingly more dour media, dour, I didn't even know you could use that word, media appearances, billionaire Carl Icahn has been getting progressively more bearish. At first, he was mostly pessimistic about junk bonds, saying last May that what's even more dangerous than the actual stock market is the high yield market. As the year progressed, his pessimism became more acute, and in December he said that the meltdown in high yield is just beginning. It culminated in February when he said on CNBC that a day of reckoning is coming. Some skeptics thought that Icahn was simply trying to scare investors into selling so he could load up on risk assets at cheap prices. However, that line of thought was quickly squashed 2 weeks ago when he announced, to the shock of every Apple fanboy, that several years after his no-brainer investment in Apple, he had officially liquidated his entire stake. And if you've been following Apple lately, looks like he made a good decision again. As it turns out, his Apple liquidation was just the appetizer of how truly bearish the legendary investor has become. As readers will recall, when it comes to what we believe is one of the world's most bearish hedge funds, we traditionally highlight the net exposure of Horseman Global, which not only has been profitable for the past 4 years, it has done so while running a net short book. To the point, as of March 31st, Horseman was net short by a record 98%. As it turns out, this was nothing compared to Icahn's latest net exposure in the just disclosed 10Q of his investment vehicle, Icahn Enterprises LP, in which the 80-year-old holds a 90% stake. We find that as of March 31st, Carl Icahn, who subsequently divested his entire long Apple exposure, has been truly putting money on the short side, where his mouth was in the past quarter. So much so that what on December 31st, 2015 was a modest 25% net short has since exploded into a gargantuan and unprecedented for Icahn 149% net short position. So if you want to know what that looks like, let me pull this up for you, take a little peek. And here we have it right here. December 2015, boom, March. 150%, as you see right over here. So, he's a billionaire, okay. Got that. He makes pretty good calls for the most part. Got that. And now he just goes massively short. Yeah, we just got that. This is the result of a relatively flat, long gross exposure of 164%, resulting from a 156% equity and 8% credit long, a combination long exposure, which is certainly far lower following the Apple liquidation, and a soaring short book, which has exploded from 150% as of March 31st, 2015, to a whopping 313% 1 year later, on the back of 270% in gross short equity exposure and 36% short credit. Putting this number into context, in the history of IEP, Not only has Icahn never been anywhere near this short, but just 1 year ago, when he first started complaining about stocks, he was still 4% net long. Those days are gone. And starting in quarter 3 and quarter 4, he proceeded to wage into the net short territory with roughly a 25% exposure, a number that has increased, again, record sixfold in just the last quarter. If it increased in a quarter that much, that would probably tell you, again, billionaires, you know they know things. You know they're the ones that have the insider information, and they pay whatever they have to pay to get it. Because when you're a billionaire and you got to throw a few million around to get that information, which is going to make you tens of millions or even hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars, you're going to absolutely do it. So again, fly on the wall. What's this guy doing? What's this guy doing? What's Soros doing? What's, all these people doing? And this guy, I don't look at him like some kind of elitist scumbag like Soros. This guy just seems like a real head, his head's on straight. Made some good decisions, made some good bets, made some money. And to see him do something like this where he's never, ever been this short before should be a red flag for everyone. So I want to remind you something that Lindsay did say. And again, this is going back to his video, the very last one, I believe. Lindsay Williams, of course. And I can't tell you how much you should believe in this, because during his video, he never, ever, ever, ever said, I talked to my elite friend and this is what he told me. He just spoke and said what was, pretty much kind of the same story over again that he said last time and the one before that. But what he did say was that if Trump has too much momentum and it's looking like Trump's going to be the man in November, they would stage a false flag attack on America and essentially what might be termed martial law or delayed elections or whatever, so that they don't have to deal with Trump winning in November. There'd be I remember he said there'd be an attack in June, July, or August, or July, August, September. I forgot now which 3 months, but he said it was summer. Let's just call it summer. And that would only be if Hillary's not looking like she's going to get the nod. If she is going to get the nod, then they're not going to do that because she'll just, again, they'll have their club member Hillary and don't have to worry about that. But if Trump's going to get it, they need to deal with that. And the way they were going to deal with it, according to Lindsay, was a quote-unquote terrorist attack that delays or stops or whatever the elections or what have you. So anyways, this guy is preparing for a big market crash. And as I've been saying, I said this a few times already recently, I feel like, and I could certainly get it wrong, but I feel like they're going to do what they did with Obama and Bush. Bush was leaving the office, Obama stepping in, economy blows up. Remember, September 2008, right? So Bush is leaving, the new guy's about to come in, which, of course, turned out to be Obama. It didn't matter who it was. The bottom line is the new president's coming. You can't blame it on him. He just walked in the door. But the other guy was kind of held together. I mean, it was okay. And now he's leaving, so, can't really blame it on him, can we? Right? So they kind of do that. So this guy's had 8 years, right? 2-term president. And the numbers haven't been fudged worse than under him. These numbers we see are ridiculous. 5% unemployment. 50 million on food stamps still. 5% unemployment. Most people are bartenders and part-time. 5% unemployment. Come on. So let him walk because he did such a good job as president. He did everything the club wanted. We don't want to make him look bad. So on his way out, bang. Economy gets hit hard. Next president has to take over and deal with the mess. Kind of like he did, except this mess is going to be way, 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 way bigger than the mess in 2008, 2009. That's my thought. I've said this numerous times. And for all intents and purposes, it looks like that may in fact be the case. should there not be what Lindsey Williams said, terrorist attack and any of that crap, and by chance, Trump actually wins, and now he's out there, I'm going to fix things, and he's not faking it and, pulling the wool over our eyes, and actually does what he said he's been going to do this whole time, then the club will definitely want to crash the whole market, the economy, all of it. That way, hey, look what happened when Trump took over. As soon as he took over, look what happened. That would be a real ringer for them on that one. But it could go a bunch of different ways. These are all my thoughts and opinions on this. But of course, I want to share them with you. And should it play out like I'm thinking it might, then I get to wave my own little, toot my own little horn and say, hey, my thought was right. Oh, and by the way, doom has now arrived. Sorry about your luck, which won't be a good thing, but, And I'm going to end this video by telling you, a month ago, as I mentioned, I bought a boat. I mentioned it, I got my silver where I wanted it, the amount. Have a little fun with the family, go out, do some family, things. We just went to Weeki Wachee last weekend, which was this past weekend. Beautiful water. But my family, kids don't really like going on the boat that much. So I asked after that Sunday, because we had a good time, what do you think? And it was just kind of, eh. So I said, maybe I shouldn't have got the old girl. Maybe I shouldn't have. What's better right now? $8,000 in my hand? Or this boat sitting in my garage, most likely not going to get used that much. It's not like it was 12 years ago when I had the other one. It was just me and my wife and our friends, and no one really had kids, so we're out having fun all the time. Now everybody's got kids. No one's got time to go back out. It's okay, well, that's fine. I got my family. We can go out. They want to stay home. They want to... Long story short, bought it for $7,500, sold it for $8,000. Today, it's gone. After spending money on pulling a tube, towable tube, trailer hitch, and car, So I didn't make a profit on that, but I lost a little bit naturally. But I'd rather have $8,000 liquid at the moment that I'm going to deposit tomorrow morning in the bank and then immediately go buy some silver. Not $8,000 worth, but I'm going to buy a little bit more silver. Again, Webbot report, data I'm looking at online, this guy going short the market. What is the safe haven? People are going to flood to freaking precious metals. Webbot, panic to own, panic to own, panic to buy it, can't get it. I'm all in, as I've said, on silver. If I get this wrong and silver just tanks and it's a decade or more goes by and it's just sitting around wherever it's at right now, at least I didn't lose, because silver can't go to zero like the stock market can and probably will, and everyone loses their paper assets overnight. At least I've got, again, physical, tangible. It took labor, effort, money, fuel to get this out of the ground. Mint it, stamp it, whatever. So you can't go wrong having it. The worst case scenario, okay? Best case scenario. Let me back up. A good scenario, $50, $60, $70 silver. I'd still be pretty happy with that. Best case scenario, hundreds of dollars per ounce silver. Best case for scenario for silver. Worst case scenario for all of us living in this country and possibly the world. Because if you see hundreds of dollars an ounce of silver, that's going to be your thermometer to the, oh crap, what the hell's going on in the world right now? That's making this happen, making this go into the hundreds. Who knows how it's going to go? Wanted to share that with you. And JSNIP4 is not buying any more toys or anything right now. I'm in hunker down mode. Excuse me. Not go play in a boat mode. It's a good thing my kids really didn't like it that much, because if they did, I probably would have went ahead and kept it and said, you know what, it's good to have some good family time. We're having a good time with, enjoying the family. And then I would have to feel terrible for selling it. Today, it didn't feel terrible at all. I was like, you know what, probably a good decision. So if you're in that same position right now, It's up to you to make the decision, right? We can only do things once sometimes in our lives, and we look back and say, oh man, if I could do that again, or if we do that. And I've mentioned that story to you where we made a bunch of money on the internet back in 2005. It only lasted 1 year. And we said after that, man, if we ever had an opportunity, gosh, I'd just go crazy and do more websites than we did, or do this, and And I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure silver and or all precious metals is that thing where, hey, you got one shot, you got another shot, J-Snip, here it is. You better take advantage. Because there ain't going to be no number 2 shot or number 3 shot on this. Again, we're not going to deal with trillions of dollars of debt implosion across the world, fiat currencies backed by nothing. You're not going to be dealing with this in any kind of future to where you're alive, your kids are alive, your kids' are alive. There's going to be generations that go by before anything like this happens again. So this is the only time. So the question is, what are you going to do to deal with it and possibly prosper, and possibly prosper handsomely? I'm all in on silver. Again, if I get this wrong, it's on me. I have nothing else to say. Well, at least I've invested in the market. I have a little bit of, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I've got some bonds, and I've got some. As Lindsay said, if it's written on a piece of paper, it's not going to be worth the paper it's written on when this goes down. And that's enough for me to say I think I'm going to stick with my precious metals. Take care.